Welcome back, trainers. So we're going to be taking a look at Gengar. Since it has received a buff from the rework, it's doing a little bit more damage and it can take a few more hits. So it's just a great all-around Pokemon to have if you're one of the lucky people to have a Shadow Claw. Now, if you did get a bunch of the Lick Gengars, those are going to be performing just about as good as the Shadow Claw. We're going to be looking at their DPS, that means damage per second, and comparing the Shadow Claw and Lick now that they received their buff to see who is actually doing more damage. Now, I know the ideal test would be comparing a 100% IV to a 100% IV, but I just don't have two of those. But that's okay because I have a 15 to 15 Gengar, which is going to be doing more damage than a 100% IV. So we'll be able to do a little bit of comparing off of that. But before we compare the Gengars, let's take a look at this Jolteon Raid. So it does have Volt Switch and Discharge. I can tell you that that's probably going to be the hardest moveset to go up against. Maybe Volt Switch and Thunderbolt, but Discharge is just continuously happening and it's doing massive damage. You're going to see when I go into the battle with Spark and Thunderbolt how much easier it was for the Gengars to actually do it. Now, this first round, I am using a full team of Gengars. After this, I'm going to be putting a Mewtwo at the end just to see if that's going to help, which it did. Unfortunately, I just didn't do enough dodging. Those discharges are just quite annoying, continuously happening, so I had to go out and find another one. I did beat it, I just didn't record it. I put Groudons in the end. The Gengars put in massive work. Alright, now let's look at their DPS. The Shadow Claws are going to be to the left, and then the Lick is going to be to the right as labeled. So let's go ahead and look at Acidina. That's going to be all the way to the left. That is going to be at 91.1%, 14 attack, 15 defense, and 12 stamina. That is going to be doing 39.7 DPS. Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball right there. Now we have Dimension sitting at 15,315. Wow. And this one's doing 40 DPS flat. Now, if you have a 100% IV Gengar with Shadow Claw and or Shadow Ball, or Lick and Shadow Ball, this is a 100% IV Gengar. It will not be doing as much damage as Dimension 15,315. Go ahead and check it if you'd like. Report back to me. I'm going to need a screenshot if you say it's going to be doing more, because I haven't seen a Gengar doing more than 40 damage per second. That is absolutely insane. I think the only way you can beat that is if maybe you had a 0 for defense, so it'd be like 15, 0, 15. But I'm not too sure. So pretty crazy, massive damage on my 73%. Now let's move over to the Lick one. So this one is going to be a 13 attack, 15 defense, and 13 stamina, sitting at 39.3 DPS. Lick and Shadow Ball. So if you're trying to get yourself a good ghost team, maybe you want to power up a few of these because it's going to be the best ghost type Pokemon as far as the eye can see. Alright, so personally, I like the Shadow Claw better. The performance on the Lick is absolutely amazing, and it's very fluid and good. So if you do have some of those, don't feel left out. I mean, it's basically just as good as Shadow Claw, literally. So maybe you want to give that a shot. I'm not saying go out, power up 6 of those, but, you know, maybe a couple of them and see how they work. Just keep in mind, they are glass cannons, so you may have to dodge a few times depending on what you're trying to do. Otherwise, they're going to faint quite quickly, and you're going to think to yourself, wow, what did I just invest in? So here we go, back into the battle with Jolteon. This is the same one that we saw last time with Volt Switch and Discharge, a pain in the butt. All right, so going to give it another shot here. And after this, like I said, I did take it out with Gengars, and then I put 2 Groudons at the end, and I was able to finish that at around 21 seconds. So the Gengars do put in a lot of damage. What is the point of this? I just want to show you how Gengars can perform so well, and depends on what you're trying to go up against. If you're going up against normal types, it's obviously not very effective, right? But given the certain circumstance, and wow, they can perform greatly if you're lacking a certain few Pokemon. Say you only have 1 Groudon and no Rayquazas to go in there, because that is going to be another great option to go up against Jolteon. You could use Machamps if you're in cloudy weather, and if you don't have any of that, well, if you have Gengars, then you could throw those in there. Personally, you may want to put them first, or you could just put the Groudon first, do a few dodges, and then make sure you can get off as much damage as possible. Now, if this did have Spark and Thunder, or even Spark and Thunderbolt, I would be able to beat it with just the Gengars. And you're going to see after this how I'm going to go into a raid with Spark and Thunderbolt. I was shadow hit at one point, and you need to have as much survivability with the Gengars as possible if you're trying to do this. And I had everything lined up perfect, but I was shadow hit. I did take a few Thunderbolts, and I knew when I can take them and not. Some of them were bad dodges, but you're going to see clear as day how this was a shadow hit. And if you're scratching your head like, what is a shadow hit? That is when you get hit by a charge move without seeing the animation or it showing whatsoever. For instance, if you're going up against whatever raid boss that has Hydro Pump, it hits you with it, you take the damage, and then 2 seconds later it does another Hydro Pump. That was a very clear shadow hit because Hydro Pump is not supposed to go off that rapidly. Plus, it didn't show the animation, okay? I'll point it out when it happens. So we go in here. This is my second run. I was just checking the first time to see what move it had. I saw it had the perfect set. I was like, okay, well, technically perfect for a speed run with Gengars would be Spark and Thunder, but Thunderbolt works fine because we're going to be able to dodge a few of those and still make it happen. So we're on our third Gengar here. So let's see if we're going to be able to bring it down into the yellow by 91 at least. And that is a good marker and indicator to know how well you're performing. Now, I've went over this before. You can be way behind the time and have, not so great Pokemon first and then have your better ones towards the end, which you shouldn't really do that. You should go in with your stronger ones and then weaker ones towards the end. But if you're feeling spicy and want a challenge, then give it a shot. I've showed plenty of examples as how you can do that, bring your time back up if you have your better Pokemon towards the end. Anyways, we're coming up here on that shadow hit. I'm going to have that nice big arrow pointing up at the top so you can see. We're going to rewind it a few times. So take a look. No Thunderbolt animation. Let's watch that again. And no Thunderbolt. Now let's slow it down so you can see without a shadow of a doubt. It's just doing Spark. It was even forward and it pulled back. So there you go. That is what a shadow hit is. If you see one of those happening and it happens multiple times and you're wondering why you can't beat it, that's probably it. So pay attention to that. The only solution that I know to how to make that kind of go away is just to close your app and just restart the raid. Make sure when you do close the app though, that you're out of the raid because that can cause problems if you're still in there and you close it out. So unfortunately, I picked the Groudon to go in here just as a safety net in case I got multiple shadow hits, but I could have just made a full team of Gengar and done it. As you've seen, it barely did anything. So I beat it just in the nick of time. What a miracle. Did you see when the confetti happened? That is something that never happens. You will never see that, where a confetti will pop literally at 0 or 1 seconds. What a miracle. Well, that is pretty nice. I'm happy. Let's go ahead and check out the new raid bosses since the EV evolutions have vanished. Right, we're on good old Calvin's Twitter. I will leave a link in the description so you can go and follow him. Let's get him up to 10,000. Look at that. He's almost there. He deserves it. There's a lot of good people out there putting out information, but I like to follow him as well. So we have for Tier 1, Kabuto, Magikarp, Omnite, and Wailmer. Which one of those can be shiny? All of them. So you have your Tier 1 raids. All of them can be shiny. Very cool. Tier 2 raids, and these should help you out. Well, at least the Electabuzz for your Sinnoh Stone if you're still trying to get a good Electivire. And I also heard news that opening your breakthrough box today at a certain time was not yielding you your Sinnoh Stone, so be wary of that. Maybe go read around. Anyways, we have Tier 2 Electabuzz, Manectric, Mawile, and Sudowoodo. What could be shiny? Mawile, and that's it out of the Tier 2s. Now onto the Tier 3s, the more exciting ones here. And this is actually pretty neat. We have an Aerodactyl, which can be shiny. Very neat. Jolteon, Machamp, and then Onix. Onix is interesting, right? I actually kind of want to do a challenge using my Torterra, so we'll see how that goes. Tier 4, we have Absol, which can be shiny, Golem, Rhydon, and Tyranitar. And then for Tier 5, we have Cresselia. And of course, for the EX raids, we have the Deoxys normal form currently. So there you have it for the new raids. All right, now let's go over my highest DPS Pokemon. And here you're looking at them right now. So first up, you have my 100% IV Rayquaza sitting at 41.7 DPS with Dragon Tail and Outrage. Magnificent. Just a great Pokemon. Can't wait for that one to return in its shiny variants. And then we have Mewtwo over here sitting at 12 attack, 15 defense, and 15 stamina with Confusion and Shadow Ball doing 40.3 DPS. Always a great option. That was my first Mewtwo. Next is the Community Day Metagross with Meteor Mash and Bullet Punch. This is a 93%, sitting on 15 attack, 14 defense, and 13 stamina. Its DPS output is 40.1. So there you go, number 3 out of all my Pokemon. Now we have Dimension, my 73% Gengar. Yeah, 15 attack, 3 defense, and 15 stamina, sitting at 40 DPS flat. And then we have a few runner-ups. We got Moltres and a couple others. But these are my top ones, and these are your top damage output Pokemon in Pokemon Go. Now, some people may say, well, this one and that one, survivability over, damage is going to equal more output towards the very end. So yeah, they have a point there. Say I'm talking about Moltres. It has a longer survivability technically over Gengar, depending on what you're going up against, equaling more damage output at the end of the day. But there you go. Everything you're seeing here is over 40. Magnificent. So if you're wondering which ones you should power up just for neutral damage on whatever, this is your options right here. So thank you for watching, trainers, and I'll be catching you all next time. Take care.